I hope you are doing well and safe. If you are working in an organization that is planning to be certified with ISO 9001 2015 or already certified with ISO 9001, then this video is going to be very helpful for you to understand the concept and scope of the organization. What is scope? And also this video is helpful for those are starting career as auditor for auditing firms. So first of all, we start with the contents of the video. What we learn in this video, the contents of the video are: what is scope, general definition. First of all, we see the general definition of scope, then we see the scope in ISO 9001 2015. So we learn about the scope of ISO 9001 2015. Then we see the consideration for determination of scopes. What are the considerations that are needed for determine the scope? Then we see how to write the scope, and then we see are the any exclusion in the scope, and the last one we see the examples of scope, how to write the scope. What is scope? By general definition, the extent of the area or subject matter that something deals with or to which it is relevant. So we see general definition: the extent of the area or subject matter that something deals with or to which it is relevant. In project management, scope is defined as features and functions of a product or the scope of work needed to finish a project. Also defined as scope involves getting information required to start a project, including the feature of the product needs to meet its stakeholder requirements. So these are the general definition of scopes. Now we see what is scope in ISO 9001 quality management system. By definition, we see the scope statement is precisely describe your product and or services, the regulatory requirements, activities, remote locations, and facilities supported. The scope should be fully documented by the QMS of certified company. In other words, scope identify exactly what your business does. The scope shall state the types of product and services of the organization covered. So this is the definition of scope by QMS. Now we see what are the considerations that are needed during the determination of scope. The first one is external and internal issues, and the second thing is requirements of relevant interested parties, and the third is the product and service of the organization. So basically these are the three things or three factors that are needed to determine the scope of the organization in context of the ISO 9001. If we see clause 4.3 of ISO 9001 2015, this clause says that the organization shall determine the boundary and applicability of the quality management system to establish its scope. When determine this scope, the organization shall consider these are 3 points. The number A is the external and internal issues and the requirements of relevant interested parties. Interested parties are two types: internal interested parties and external interested parties. The number third is the product and service of the organization. The organization shall apply all the requirements of this international standard if they are applicable within the determined scope of its quality management system. So this is by standard ISO 9001 2015 4.3 class. Okay, what are the things, what are the factors that are needed to consider to determine the scope of the organization? Now we see how to write the scope for ISO 9001. The first one is to write the scope. It must to engage the top leadership. It is necessary when you are writing the scope, you must engage your top leadership and your commitment is also required. The scope should be short, simple, and precise. Your customer should be able to read it and understand without a struggle. It determines what is applicable and what is not. If your company has several facilities, list all the locations and have been included in or excluded from the QMS scope. It should covers the physical location of the organization, products and services and the relevant industries. So these are the things when you are writing the scope, you must follow these points. Then this is easy to write the scope of the ISO 9001. Now we see, are any exclusion in scope? Yes, there is a exclusion in scope. The second part of the scope can be exclusion. The common exclusion is the standard for design and development. So what is design and development? Design and development which is applies to such companies as machining shop. Such businesses do not design any product but work exclusively from drawing of their clients. So if your organization is not design and develop, then this clause should be excluded and should be mentioned in the scope. Now we see the examples of scope statements. So I first of all we see Twice Company. The scope of Twice Company in the context of the ISO 9001, it should be like as all the primary functions of producing toys in the specific location of your business as well as the distribution of toys to kids of all age. If we talk about the beverage company, the scope statement, it like be manufacturing and packing of carbonated drinks like Pepsi, Dew, Sting, 7 Up and Sting, non-carbonated juices, mango and apple, and mineral water, Aquafina like. And the scope of consultant company is like XYZ consultant located office in Europe, Asia and North American provide information technology support to companies in any industry. Learning outcomes of the video. What is scope? Scope describe the product and service of the organization, and the second outcome is what things are needed to be considered in the scope statement. The scope statement should include the organization location, its name, its boundary, its product and services, or any exclusion from ISO 9001 2015 standard. So the statement should include these all statements, these all the points. Then this scope is very precise, short, simple, and easy to understand the customer or your interested parties. If you like the video, please subscribe our channel for upcoming videos and also share to others. Thank you.